will now vanish powerfully.
Triumph at Tolka as Shelburne secure their third Premier Division title in the last 4 years. Despair for Derry City as Stephen Kenny bids farewell to the Brandywell. And the Rovers return. Ireland's most famous club are back in the big time. Yes, a very good evening to you. We have an hour-long special coming up for you tonight as we look back on the climax to the 2006 Eircom League season. We'll have the 6 contenders in our goal of the season competition, and there's guaranteed to be some argument later on when Paul Ozam and Pat Scully reveal their teams of the season. All that to come, but first we have all the action from the Brandywell and Tolka Park last Friday night when the destination of the Premier Division title was decided. Derry entertained Cork City while Shelburne battled it out with Bows.
A night of destiny at Tolka Park for Pat Fenlon Shelburne. They knew 3 points would be enough to secure a third league title in 4 years. The hosts welcomed back captain Owen Heary for the clash, while Jason McGuinness, whose appearance in a previous meeting between these sides earlier in the season caused such controversy, came in for the suspended Aidan O'Keefe for the visitors. Sean Connor, who had been unveiled as the Gypsies' new manager earlier in the day, watched from the stands.
At the Brandywell, Derry's destiny was not entirely in their own hands. The home support had one ear on events at Tolka, but knew 3 points were a realistic must if they were to end the night as champions. The fans paid a glowing tribute to Stephen Kenny before kick-off as he took to the Derry dugout for the final time. The manager was without Darren Kelly and Ken O'Man for his last game in charge, but Gary Beckett, a figure in their last title triumph in 1997, was past fit to play. Cork had a definite agenda of their own. Victory by 2 clear goals would see them leapfrog the Candy Stripes and guarantee European football next season. Damien Richardson had to plan without Joe Gamble and Colin O'Brien due to suspension, and the influential John O'Flynn because of injury. The hosts showed no sign of nerves from the kick-off, and with Pat McCourt pulling the strings in midfield, they settled to the task in hand. On this occasion, the Cork defence hacked away Farron's cutback.
Bohemians hadn't come to Tolka Park just to make up the numbers and settled more quickly than their hosts. 7 minutes in, John Paul Kelly worked himself into a shooting position, and while his left-footed effort was well off target, it was a warning sign for Shells that they wouldn't have things all their own way.
Cork's relatively inexperienced midfield pairing of Admir Softich and Brian O'Callaghan were overrun early on, and Clive Delaney almost put his side ahead from a Rory Higgins free kick. However, Derry didn't have to wait much longer to hit the front, and when it arrived it came courtesy of a familiar source. After netting successive winners against St Pat's and Waterford, Mark Farron latched on to Malloy's long ball in the 11th minute before keeping his head with a neat finish.
With news filtering through from the Brandywell that Derry had gone in front, Shell's night was about to get a whole lot worse. Goalkeeper Steve Williams completely fluffed what should have been a straightforward catch, and with Barry Ferguson in close attendance, the ball ended up in the back of the net. Replay showed it would have to go down as a known goal as the final touch came off Williams' foot. And the Gypsies might consider themselves a little unlucky not to have had a chance to go 2 up moments later. Owen Heary clearly handled the ball in the area, but referee Alan Kelly had spotted a foul on the Shells captain by Jason McGuinness.
For 12 whole minutes, the title was heading to the northwest, but Cork attempted to silence the buoyant home support before the break. Alan Bennett wasted a rare sight on goal. It proved their best opportunity in the first period.
The turning point at Tolka Park came with 22 minutes played. Dave Rogers sent over a cross that found its way to Bobby Ryan. He controlled well and let fly, only to be blocked by the raised hand of John Paul Kelly. Despite Kelly's protests, the penalty was awarded. If Stuart Byrne was feeling any nerves, he certainly didn't show it, coolly dispatching the spot kick past the despairing dive of Stephen O'Brien. And within 5 minutes, the game was completely turned on its head. Jason Byrne sent over an early cross towards strike partner Glenn Crowe, whose first-time volley had enough power to beat O'Brien and put the title back within Shell's grasp. They led 2-1 at the break. Shells returned for the second half, minus hamstring victim Joseph Endo. Greg O'Halloran on in his place. They could have wrapped up all 3 points in the opening stages of the half. First, Jason Byrne was presented with a glorious opportunity, but he skied his effort over the bar. Moments later, the impressive Stuart Byrne timed his run perfectly to get his head to Dave Rogers' cross, but with the keeper beaten, the post saved Bowes.
Derry began the second half as they had the first, with Mark Farron in particular wreaking havoc. The forwards' pace caused constant problems, but Devine was on hand here to deal with the danger. With the title race teetering on a knife edge and the Candy Stripes unable to influence events at Tolka, the tension began to rise, and assistant manager Paul Hegarty was sent from the dugout. His dismissal could have huge implications for December's Cup final, as he was expected to oversee affairs against St Patrick's Athletic.
As the second half progressed at Tolka Park, the exchanges became more and more niggly, with referee Alan Kelly doing well to keep a handle on proceedings. John Paul Kelly was unhappy with what he saw as an elbow from Owen Heary. Replay showed there was contact, but whether or not there was any intent was very questionable. And then Barry Ferguson was booked as he remonstrated with the ref after Greg O'Halloran's challenge on Thomas Heary. As time slipped away, Shells were creating little, but were nearly presented with the vital third goal by Thomas Heary. The Bowes midfielder headed narrowly over his own crossbar from Ollie Cahill's corner.
The home side continued to press for the insurance goal to put the result beyond doubt, but once more Devine proved equal to Farron's efforts. That didn't deter the striker, who was at it again moments later. His final strike caught a deflection off Murray, which almost wrong-footed the keeper, but Devine reacted again to perform the heroics.
Missed chances earlier in the half made it a very nervy ending for Shelburne. Matters weren't helped when Richie Baker, who had only come on 5 minutes earlier for Bobby Ryan, was dismissed by Alan Kelly for this lunge at Conor Powell. It looked ugly, but replay show contact was minimal.
For all their pressure, the Candy Stripes couldn't find a second, and they were almost pegged back in the closing stages. Neil Fenn nearly capped his final game for Cork with a stunning effort, but his attempt tailed narrowly wide of the target. The full-time whistle was greeted with rapturous applause as Stephen Kenny ended his reign as manager in winning fashion. The players took time to thank the home support for their efforts after a long, hard campaign, the destiny of which was still being played out in Dublin.
The news from the Brandywell was of 3 points for Derry, so a late Bowes equaliser would have meant the league trophy would be heading north. But in truth, there was very little danger of that happening, as the visitors created next to nothing in the entire second half. Shells held on then for the 3 points they needed to spark scenes of wild celebration at Tolka Park. Captain Owen Heary had the honour of accepting the cup on behalf of Shelburne, the 2006 Eircom League champions.
that's a tremendous feeling. I'm very proud of the players and the staff. You know, it's a hard season for us, but you know, we stuck in there and we played some great football at times. Tonight wasn't the best of games, but at this stage of the season it's just about results.
How long of a season has it been?
Very long. It feels like we're back about 3 years, but we started back in middle of January and we've worked hard, and said at the time when we came back, if we work hard enough we'll get the trophy back, and that's what we've done.
Now this game was like your season, you had to battle back.
Yeah, we expected that. Nothing different when we play Bohs. It's always a big game, and any team that is playing the team that's a chance to win the league doesn't want to lose to them, you know, and credit to them, they made it hard for us.
Shelbourne back in the Champions League.
Yeah, it's great feeling. I worry about that when it comes around, but it's important that we enjoy the night and the supporters enjoy the night, because they've been brilliant as well this year for us.
I know you're going to enjoy it, Pat. Finally, will you be here next season?
Oh, I'm not getting into all that again. I've answered loads of questions on that about Bohs and every other club that's going. You know? I just want to enjoy the night, and the players, you know, deserve every credit for delivering a trophy again here.
I feel delighted. I feel justified. I feel ecstatic. I feel we deserve it. Just feel great.
Are you a little bit angry as well, I believe?
I was, I'm not anymore. I've got my little rant out of the way. I feel it had to be said. Something's got to be. We've got to learn serious lessons from the season that's gone. Lifting the trophies calm me down now. I want to see my family. I just want to say thanks to my partner Nuala, my son Finn, and my newborn baby Sky, which was born last Sunday. So this is a great week for me.
Congratulations. Thanks. What does it mean to the club, Stewie?
It means everything to the club. The club has been kicked to the ground, spat on, dragged through the mill, and this is everything they deserve. And the financial reward hopefully will be a huge help. But I think the moral victory was a huge moral victory for us today, and justified the season that we had.
Richie, how does that feel?
It's great. Every time it gets better. It's the fourth one now, and couldn't ask for any more. Super. Way to end the league as well. It was tight. It was unfortunate for Derry. But thank God we won it. It was on the last day as well.
It was a tough 90 minutes. You had to work it back. You trailed by a goal. Were you worried at any stage?
Oh yeah, definitely. When they scored first, didn't know what we were going to do. But the boys fought back great. First half, to go 2-1 up was super. And then we just held on at the end. Could have got 1 or 2 more in the second half, but thank God we held on.
You don't forget about the red card, I presume, do you?
Oh yeah. Well, I went up to Alan after the game and I asked him to send me an apology, because it definitely wasn't a red card. So it was disappointing not to go out like that, but I'm holding the cup, so I'm happy, man.
Yes, fantastic scenes at Talca Park on Friday night, and we'll be reflecting on all the action from there shortly. But first, back to the Brandywell, where Stephen Kenny and Damien Richardson were left looking back on what might have been at the end of a long campaign.
Well, I think we were tremendous on the night. Like, we had to take, we're 10 points behind 3 weeks ago. We had to take 9 points from the week that was in it. And we took 9 points. We had to go away to Pats, away to Waterford, and home to Cork. And, you know, the players, a lot was demanded of them, and they've come up and they've won the games. They've done all that's asked of them. Any of the games that, you know, any of the big games this year that have been put up to the players, they've come up trumps and they've won the games. Unfortunately, we lost on goal difference. That's the way it goes. They're the rules of the competition. You have to respect that.
I'm extremely disappointed that we lost the game. I think I'm extremely disappointed in the manner in which we lost the game. From where I was standing, the goal was offside. I've been saying all week the first goal is going to be vital in this fixture, and I think it was handed to Derry City. If I'm wrong, I'll put my hand up and apologise from where I was, and my players say the goal was offside.
People are very kind, you know, that's the nature of people in Derry. Very kind, very considerate. They wish people well, they want people to do well, and that's what you get here.
From my point of view, you have to take your defeat well. And you have to congratulate Derry, so you have to congratulate Shelbourne for winning the league, because it's a great achievement. Congratulate Drogheda for getting third position, getting into Europe. It's a great achievement. So yeah, you accept all that. That's part and parcel of the game, and you have to be decent enough and genuine enough to congratulate people when they succeed. But that is tempered with a great doubt on my part, a great worry on my part, and it'll be a couple of weeks before I come down to earth, because I've got to look at things in a very serious way, because my club has been through an awful lot this year. My chairman's put an awful lot of money into the club this year, his own money, and now we're in a situation where the next step is very, very important, and the next step is taking place without Europe, and that's not acceptable to me.
The players this season, they've won the League Cup here in the Brandywell. They're in the FAI Cup final in Lansdowne Road. They've got to the, you know, third round, some great wins in Europe against Gothenburg home and away in Gretna. The record scoreline for an Irish team in Europe, you know, against Gretna, and they've drawn with Paris Saint-Germain. So I think they've been outstanding. they've been real credit to work with. And as I say, the margins are slim, goal difference and so forth. But nevertheless, I said to them after the game, bringing 3,500 to France and bringing that kind of crowd to Scotland, I think that's a massive achievement, and that's etched long in the memory after people wonder who won what.
So plenty to talk about after an action-packed end to the season. We'll be doing that with Paul and Pat when we come back. Plus, we'll see how Drogheda secured a place in Europe next season.
Boss, fragrances for men.
Did you know you can get Sky TV from just $10.75 a month for the first 3 months? You can enjoy top new series, blockbuster movies, documentaries, action-packed sport and kids programs. And it's all yours with superb digital pictures and sound. And as you can choose which mixes you like, you only pay for the kind of TV you want. Order Sky TV now from just $10.75 a month. Call 0818 719 899. Offer further extended to November 30th.
This is where you have to earn your money, I suppose. Reflecting back on what we've seen before the break, Pat, you tipped Shelbourne from the start to win the title. They were pushed all the way in the end by Derry.
Did I tip them? I thought you did. You not tip them?
No,
who did you go for again?
SPL as well.
No, I said it. I thought Shells after last year, everyone said they're going to walk away with it, and I thought this year there was going to be a real hunger and a real desire about them. And I think the last few games, Trevor, they didn't play well, especially the Bows game when they go 1-0 down. And I think they showed the desire to get back in and win. And I think everyone agreed they deserved it.
Yeah, great consistency too. Shelbourne have shown over the last few years, obviously winning 3 titles in 4 years.
Well, it's a great club. I mean, I played there. It's a fantastic club. And people like Ollie Bourne, now they've got a lot of stick. They work very, very hard. They've had difficult times this year, but I think they've probably got the best manager in Pat Fenlon. They've got the best set of players, but it's still a great achievement. You know, you can have the best players all you want to. You still got to manage them well. And I think Pat Fenlon, under some difficult circumstances, and again, decisions have gone against them this season. But the players, there must be a great spirit there. They've battled hard, they've played some good football, and as I said, they well deserved it, well deserved it.
You were in Cork with me, Paul, on the last day of the season last year when Derry had heartbreak, of course, by losing it, and then to lose it on goal difference. It's hard to take, isn't it?
It must be, you know, to lose the league title on the last day in 2 consecutive years is very difficult. But it also says how good, you know, demonstrates how good of a side they are, because to be there on the last day of the season, you have had to have, you know, been doing something right throughout the season. 62 points from 30 games, I don't think in many other years that would be good enough for you to win the league. But unfortunately this year, Shelbourne gained 62 points as well, and it was down to goal difference. It's a hard way to lose the league, but as Stephen Kenny said in the piece there, they're the rules of the league, and it's right. It's rightfully Shell's league.
Yeah.
The standards keep getting better, don't they?
I was going to ask you about that because off the pitch there's been a lot of talk, obviously, of farcical stuff during the year, but on the pitch...
I'm not agreeing with you on that.
On the pitch, as you said, the football's been great, and that's been proven in Europe with the likes of Derry, Shelbourne and Drogheda and Cork.
I think without a shadow of a doubt, Trevor, the football on the pitch has been fantastic. I mean, this league has improved so much over the years. It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, you look back, you look at the teams, the quality of football. I mean, the pitches, everything's improved. It's got a lot better. And again, you look at Cork last year, were really, really good. Derry pushed them all the way, but Shells have just upped the bar again, haven't they?
To have 4 teams with that close, you know, as well at the end of the season, there's only 6 points between the top 4. There's a little bit of a gap then to the rest. But, I mean, there were years gone by where there were two-horse race with 6-7 games to go, at least this year. And it shows that there's no team really dominating the league. And it's good for the league to have the Droghedas and the Derrys and the Corks up there with good squads,
and challenging for the league.
If you look at Drogheda and Cork, I mean, they'll be kicking themselves because they had great finishes. I mean, they had fantastic, just the middle part where they dropped silly points, where that's Shells, you look at their record, you know, they don't make many mistakes.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Pat Fenlon and his contribution to Shelbourne as manager shortly, Pat, but let's talk about Stuart Byrne. He was very angry after the match, not an hour interview, he was calmed down by then, but he had a huge go off Stephen Kenny. First, were you surprised with that, and what did you think of his outburst?
I don't think you can ever be surprised. I mean, the thing about getting interviewed straight after a game, your emotions are high. And I mean, it just shows you, people talk about players not caring sometimes. I mean, I think Shelby just showed how emotional football can be to players. I mean, they have been through an awful lot, you know, and he's obviously very proud to be at Shells, and he's sticking up for his club there and the players and all, and they obviously feel they've been treated a little bit harshly. I'm not condoning what he said. It's obviously, you know, you don't want to need personal attacks like that, and it was probably a little bit unwarranted, but you can understand, you know, they've just won the league. As I said, he was obviously very angry, and he's expressed his emotions in the way he felt fit.
Yeah, he had a big go off for Stephen Kenny. It was clear after the match. Paul, what was your take on it? How did you see it?
Well, there's obviously something ignited that reaction from Stuart. I don't know what it was. But personally,
allegedly, Stephen Kenny made a call to some Bows players. That's what we're hearing.
Well, you know, I just didn't see a need for the personal attack on Stephen Kenny. I think the best thing to do, you've just won the league, is just say on air, if you want to say it on air, Stephen, hard luck, we won the league, and leave it at that. You don't think you need to start saying stuff about good luck to you and get off to Scotland and things like that. You know, there are other ways of getting your point across without having a personal attack on somebody. I just didn't think it was right.
OK, the big question, of course, now, Pat, is will Pat Fenlon be there with Shelbourne to guide them through the Champions League next season?
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd like to. I think it would be a shame for Pat. They've qualified for the Champions League. I think it's obviously something he's a very ambitious person. He'll want to have a good crack at. I mean, you'd like to think they can sit down and try and solve the problems that have been there this season. I think it would be a shame for Pat Fenlon to work as hard as he has and do such a fantastic job to then not be there to lead them next season. So you'd like to think, you know, the season's over now. You know, sometimes in football, passions run wild, and you know, things can be said in the heat of the moment. And I think now is the time to sit down, isn't it? Calm heads. They've done their job. They've won the league, and hopefully they can sort it out.
I think the thing with Pat, just reading between the lines, is, you know, things have happened, and I think he's been given guarantees they wouldn't happen again, and they've happened again and again. And I think his patience may just have worn a little bit thin. I don't know what he's going to do. I'd love to see him stay, but I just have a feeling that he might not be there next year.
OK, let's go back to the game itself, lads, and talk us through it. As you mentioned earlier, Pat, Shelbourne have had to show a lot of character this year, and they had to show it Friday night when it mattered most, phoning a goal behind.
Well, it was a terrible start for them, wasn't it? It was an awful start, and I mean, it was such a bad goal to concede. I mean, Steve Williams is still a reliable goalkeeper. I mean, it's just one of those silly things, and it looked as actually he hit his foot as the ball bounced. It was probably an own goal.
What is that? Just lack of concentration there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's just. I mean, as they always say about fortunate goalkeepers, when you make a mistake, there's no one there to bail you out, and you know, it is just lack of concentration. He obviously just took his eye off the ball. The thing about with Shells, I talk, you've got to look at Bows and think, going a goal down, wherever, they were never going to be strong enough. You know what I mean? They've got loads of injuries. They've a very young team. They've had a really poor season. I mean, Shell's got a bit lucky there.
That's a penalty, isn't it?
Yeah, they were very lucky there.
You both agree that was a penalty?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it lots of times, and
there didn't seem to be much contact on here.
It was a good dive from Owen, though.
I think he just mistimed it. He misjudged the flight of the ball.
I don't think that was a penalty purely on artistic merit. I think there was a lovely little swan dive there. But as I said, I just don't think Bows, irrespective of going one down, you could never see them being strong enough to go there and get a result. You just couldn't see them.
No doubt about that penalty.
Stupid challenge, wasn't it? It was ridiculous to go flying out like that. I mean, that would have to be one hell of a volley, you know. But to throw your arms up in the air like that, you know, it's silly.
He saved it from 2 yards, so people would have saved it from 12 yards.
Well taken penalty from Stuart Byrne. He's great from the dead ball. 6 goals, Stuart Byrne, in the league this season.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player, Lee. He's a good player. This is a fantastic cross. I mean, people talk about Jason Bourne's goals, but look at that for a cross. And again, you'd have to say Glenn Crowe's starting position was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
Straight in the middle of the centre.
Got some very important goals, none more important than that. But should the goalkeeper have done better?
I think he should.
He should have, yeah. He got a hand to it there. I mean, to be fair, Glenn Crowe's hit that very early and hit it with good pace. But I think the cross was absolutely magnificent. I mean, what a ball that was. And then, I mean, once...
I don't know about that. I've seen it a couple of times as well, and I think he's a little bit unlucky because the foot he led with for the tackle didn't make any contact with Powell, but his following foot, you can see there, his following foot definitely contacted Powell. He was very late with the challenge, but I don't think it was as bad as it looked.
I think it was a bad tackle. I know what you say, Paul. He probably didn't get much contact
there, probably. But he didn't make an awful lot of contact. So yeah, I suppose if there's intent, he had to go on here.
A timely comeback from the captain as well. Owen Heary getting his
Owen would have played
hands on the cup
on Friday night just to make sure he could lift the cup up. I mean, deserves it. They all deserve it.
Worthy winners, you said.
Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. I said it from the very start. I know Paul disagreed with me, but I have to say it's nice to be right again.
Well, I don't like back and favourites. Personally, I don't like back and favourites.
It couldn't have been much closer.
I just think on that take with Shelbourne, and congratulate them. We congratulate Pat Fenlon and Eamon Collins, and they've won the league. The point I tried to make, and I made it last year as well, at the start of the season, last year, nobody gave Derry a show, and they finished second. This year, it was the same, and I just don't understand it. Of course, Shelbourne were favourites. They have the best side. They have undoubtedly now the best manager. But Derry finished the same amount of points as them. So I just think that Derry don't get the credit that they deserve over the last couple of years.
Okay, what about the Shells players now? A number of them are, out of contracts and unsure about their future as well, I would imagine.
You'd look at it, Trevor, and say how close the spirit has been. I would imagine what happens with Pat Fenlon's future will decide an awful lot what's going to happen with those players. They seem to have stuck together with the manager, and I think if Pat stays, I think the likes of Owen Heary, Stewie Bourne, I think there's a good chance they'll stay. If Pat leaves, then I think it could be open season for the Bows and the other clubs. They'll all swoop straight away.
Yeah, he's the most successful manager, Pat Fenlon, in the history of Shelbourne, Paul. No doubt he'll won't have a problem finding a job if he does move on, but do you think he will stay?
I don't think so. I've no inside information or anything, but I just don't think, he's been very, very angry.
Unlike you not to have inside information.
he's been very angry throughout the season. It's not like Pat, he normally keeps his cards close to his chest. He doesn't, you've never seen him, losing the control of himself, and this year at times near the end of the season he's been close to that. He's been very, very angry.
Well, we've lost Stephen Kenny, haven't we? The last thing we want to do, I mean, if Pat leaves Shells, then obviously he can go where he wants to go, and I'm sure there'll be clubs in England and abroad who would want to take him.
And Rovers.
But well, yeah, I want getting sacked, don't we? But I mean, we want managers like to stay in the league. We need managers like to stay in the league.
Definitely, yeah. Okay. Well, Cork City's defeat to Derry meant Drogheda could claim third place in the Premier Division with victory over Waterford United. Paul Doolan's side would have fancied their chances too last Friday night against a side who've struggled all season.
Nothing less than a win would guarantee Drogheda a place in Europe next season. And the home side started brightly, but it was Alan Cawley who went closest to opening the scoring with this free kick. Dan Connor read the situation well and pushed away his effort. It's been a season to forget for Waterford, and Patrick O'Flynn almost gifted an alert Glenn Fitzpatrick the opener in the most bizarre circumstances. Cawley continued to pose the most threat to the Drogheda goal, but a shot on this occasion didn't trouble Connor. Shane Barrett looked to have sprung the visitors' offside trap minutes later, but Ben Spicer was quick off his line. The home support were incensed with the challenge, but the goalkeeper did make full contact with the ball. Barrett was a constant threat out left and also beat the keeper with this shot come cross. Spicer did enough to push his effort away. Declan O'Brien almost broke the deadlock in the 26th minute when he chipped over Spicer here. His effort narrowly missed the target. At the other end, Cawley was denied yet again by the in-form Connor. The home side continued their push in the second half, and Drogheda deservedly took the lead on the hour mark when Shane Barrett's cross was converted by O'Brien. Terrific delivery from Barrett and an instinctive finish from Declan O'Brien. The remainder of the game proved to be a tame affair, although veteran Alan Reynolds almost grabbed an equaliser near the end. The final whistle signalled a victory for Drogheda United. Their win, coupled with Cork's defeat to Derry, means it's the Louth outfit who secure third place. Paul Doolan's men can now defend their Setanta Cup and look forward to another shot at Europe.
Yes, indeed, a third place finish for Drogheda United, Paul. A very strong finish to the season, Paul Doolan's man. So guaranteed European football again next season.
Yeah, they're progressing nicely. They'll be a little bit disappointed this season. They had a good start, very good start, and then they kind of dipped a little bit in mid-season, and they finished very strongly themselves, and Cork both finished very strongly. Fortunately, time ran out for them. But I think the problem, when you look at the forwards they have quality forwards, but they didn't score enough goals. 37 goals in the season.
Yeah.
it's just
that's what let them down, really.
It is, and Declan O'Brien got 11 of those goals, and I think he missed a fair bit of the mid part of the season. So they've had a problem finding the net, and that's, I think, what's cost both them and Cork this season.
Yeah, they've got the squad to go closer, haven't they? Yeah. You look at their squad, as you said, they've got quality all the way through that. You'd like to think next year they'll push it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, because they finished one better this season than last year, so they're making a bit of strides. And Paul Doolan said they're still playing catch-up. They're not as experienced, or haven't got the squads of the likes of Shelbourne. But you reckon they'll be serious contenders next season?
Well, I think financially they've really backed Paul, haven't they? I mean, he's been allowed to bring in players every season. I presume we'll probably do the same again, so they'll be stronger again. You know, so you'd like to think, as I said, I think the players are there. I mean, they've got some of the best players in the league, so hopefully they'll go closer next year.
OK, Pat. Well, we'll take another short break now, but coming up we have the celebrations from St. Comas Park, where Shamrock Rovers will crown First Division champions. Plus, we'll have the contenders in our Eircom League Weekly Goal of the Season competition. And you're very welcome back. Well, Shamrock Rovers clinched the First Division title on Saturday night after a 1-1 draw with Cove Ramblers at St. Comas Park. Pat, no doubt a very proud night for you on Saturday at St. Comas Park. Might describe the feeling for us?
It was a long night afterwards. I'm getting far too old for them celebrations. It was great. It was fantastic. I think it summed up our season.
Yeah, it was a tough campaign, wasn't it? You fell behind as well.
Well, I mean, I think the thing about the club is the players have a great character. I mean, we talk about Shells, but my players have the same thing. To go behind 10 minutes to go, we'd won the league. You know, goal difference had won it. They could have basically just seen the game out, but the reaction was fantastic. They just don't like losing. They won't accept getting beaten. You know, and they got themselves back into it, and we got the draw that we wanted, because it would have been a shame to not pick the trophy up on the night. And as I said, they deserved it. For their reaction was absolutely
Type
superb.
Purcell with the equaliser there, wasn't it?
Yeah, Toy's done very well this season. He's got his 13 goals. So, as I said, there's a great spirit there. A good group of lads, and we had a great night on Saturday night. It was one of the best atmospheres, I have to say. We all went back to the hotel, players, fans, staff, everybody. And
Aidan Price, the captain, lifting the trophy. He's had a great season for you too, hasn't he?
He's been superb. He's been absolutely superb. And I hope he gets. I know he's been nominated for the Player of the Year. And I'd like to think he gets it, because he definitely deserved it. He's been the best player in that league.
Did you expect that it would be as tight as it was in the end? Obviously, Shamrock Rovers are a big club, and the pressure was on Pat to get them back into the Premier Division.
Yeah, but there's always pressure. I mean, you know, big clubs like that, it's unavoidable. There's going to be pressure. There's expectation from the supporters and that. And as I said, it's easy for me because I don't have to go out and play. And the players deserve a lot of the credit, because they had to handle the pressure more than anybody. And as I said, they were superb to a man for such a young team and such an experience. You know, they kept their composure really well.
Yeah, and certainly it was as tough as the Premier Division in terms of the closeness. It was close throughout, wasn't it, the First Division? A great race in the end to win it.
It was, and again, congratulations to Rovers, and I think that, you know, if they go back up, which I'm sure they will, they're back where they belong, and I think they're a Premier Division club, and their supporters, as mentioned before, are outstanding. They surprised me a lot, and to be honest, in the last probably 6 weeks, with the games thrown at them, 2 games a week, and you know, looking at the results they were picking up, and every week you're expecting to see, with the pressure on them, and 2 games a week, I said, to drop points, but they didn't. And I think they won 7 or 8 of the last 9, and then drew the last game when it didn't really matter. So it shows great character, and they are a relatively young side and inexperienced side, so they've done extremely well, because it's a tough league to win, and you know, fair dues, and they won it. Okay, congratulations
to Pat, and indeed to Shamrock Rovers winning the First Division title. Well, these are the Eircom League results from the final week of the season. Bray Wanderers 1, Sligo Rovers 1, Derry City 1, Cork City 0, Drogheda United 1, Waterford United 0, Longford Town 0, St Patrick's Athletic 0, and Shelbourne 2, Bohemians 1. Moving on to the First Division, Cove Ramblers 1, Shamrock Rovers 1, as you've just seen, Finn Harps 0, Dundalk 1, Kilkenny City 1, Galway United 5, Limerick 0, Athlone Town 2, and Monaghan United 0, Kildare County 2. Well, the first leg of the Eircom League playoffs between Dundalk and Waterford United will be played at Oriel Park on Wednesday at 7:45. The second leg will be played at the RSC in Waterford on Saturday at 7 o'clock. Away goals will not count for double in the event of a tie on aggregate after the second match. Instead, extra time of 30 minutes will be played, and if the teams are still tied, then penalties will decide the outcome. Well, we look at the tables at the final day of the season, gentlemen, and Let's talk about Drogheda finishing third and Cork City in fourth. We've already discussed Shelbourne winning the title. Of course, the same number of points as Derry City, goal difference separating the top two in the end. But for Drogheda, an improvement. And Cork City will be disappointed without Pat as champions to finish fourth.
Yeah, very disappointed. I think Damien summed it up there afterwards. There's going to be a lot of decision making down there. I think.
Yeah, best defence in the country, but their problem, like Drogheda, was scoring goals. Wasn't it?
We said it from the first few weeks of the show. Like basically, O'Flynn was injured when Gamble was missing. They just didn't have the people to back it back up. And Damien needs to get players in there. And again, that comes down to finances. When you're talking about the top league now, you're competing with Shells, Drogheda, Derry. They have big money, so Cork are going to have to go the same road.
And looking at Sligo Rovers and UCD, Paul, they'll be happy enough. I mean, Sligo, first year up, winning promotion last year, they did very well to finish fifth, and UCD came with a strong finish.
Yeah, Sligo, I think, maybe at the third point this season, may have fancied themselves to finish in the top four, which would have been a huge achievement. But you know, the reality is they were first year back up in the Premier Division. They've done extremely well to finish behind the top four, you know, as it is with the other four clubs being so far ahead. And UCD as well. You know, a lot of time for Pete Manton and Martin Russell, what they do there down at Belfield. The job isn't easy. You know, they don't have huge budgets. And for UCD to finish sixth in the league is great
achievement, isn't it, for Pete? They have a young team as well, haven't they? A very young team.
And your own club, St Patrick's Athletic, disappointing again, I suppose, Paul. They showed a lot of promise in the last few weeks.
What positions that you finished in?
Seventh.
Did you say fifth at the start, was it?
Well, Pats, I think, you know, at the start would have fancied themselves to
they're
finish,
in the cup final, of course.
They won the semi-final a few weeks ago, yeah. Would have fancied themselves to finish closer to the top four. I know John be extremely disappointed finishing where they finished so far behind the top four sides. And again, it's just down to mid-season. They were very, very poor, very bad form mid-season. Finished off with a bit of a rattle, but I know we'll be disappointed finishing seventh in the league.
Yeah. Bohemians will be the most disappointed, no doubt, Pat. I mean, they won the title a couple of years back. They've been second, third. They're dropping every year, and to finish third from bottom, be hugely disappointed.
The whole season just unravelled, didn't it, Trevor? I mean, it just, from start to finish, was just shocking for a club like Bows. And for the team they started with, I know a lot of players have left, and they've had a lot of injuries towards the end. They've had to play young kids, but basically, they were nowhere near it from the very start. You know, they were always in around 7th, 8th, and then they just dropped away. Like, I mean, the only thing about it, Sean Connor's going in there now, you know, he must be delighted, because, you know, he can only do better than that. He can't get any worse than that for Bows.
Some money as well, won't he?
Well, you know, they need to strengthen. You know, the squad is really poor, the team is really poor, they're weak. He's got a big job there, but as I said, they've got finances, so he's got a good chance of doing it.
OK. Well, it's time now for our Eircom League weekly goal of the season competition. All of these goals were broadcast on the show during the 2006 campaign. Take a look at the 6 contenders and select your choice as the top goal. 6 excellent goals to enjoy there in our Eircom League Weekly Goal of the Season competition. All you have to do is pick your favourite and then email us with your top choice, plus your name and address and phone number. If your selection is the same as our experts, then you'll be with a chance of winning 2 tickets to see the Republic of Ireland take on Wales in their Euro 2008 qualifier at Croke Park on the 24th of March 2007. Of course, that will be an historic occasion, as it will be the first ever soccer international to be played at GAA headquarters. And those tickets come courtesy of the league sponsors, Eircom. And that's the address to email us, sports@tv3.ie, with your choice as the best goal. We'll be announcing the winner on Sports Tonight next Monday. Now, we'll be back again in just a few minutes when Paul and Pat will be revealing their Eircom League teams of the season. Don't go away. And you're very welcome back. Well, in our final show, we like to get our pundits to name their teams of the season. But before we look at Paul and Pat's choices, here's the PFAI Premier Division team of the season, as voted for by the Eircom League managers. 5 of those 6 players are nominated for the Players Player of the Year award, to be announced next Sunday night in Dublin. And they are Joe Gamble, Kieran Martin, Joseph Doe, Ollie Cahill and Gary Beckett. Jason Gavin is the other nominee, but he didn't make the team of the season as voted for by the managers. Now, here's the team chosen by Paul Ozam. Paul, you might talk us through it. I know it's a 3-5-3 formation, but flamboyant, don't you think?
3-5-2, Chad.
3-5-2, sorry. 3-5-2. Flamboyant from Ozam.
Yeah, you know, somebody once said to me that your players dictate your formation. And for me, having played in different formations, I just think that a 3-5-2 formation is an excellent formation if you have the players to play in it. I've gone for a technically excellent side. 3 at the back being Alan Bennett, Jason Gavin and Graham Gartland. Gartland will play on the left with Bennett being the kind of sweeper and Gavin just off the right. I'd have Joe Gamble just in front of that back 3 as the covering kind of midfielder of 5, because I think he reads the game exceptionally well. His distribution of the ball is second to none that I've seen over the last number of years in this league. And then on the flanks, I'd have Roy O'Donovan, who for me is outstanding, and Ollie Cahill, who for me has been the best player in the league this season. Bombing forward from them, I'd have Doe and Kieran Martin, who are both well capable of scoring goals from midfield. And then I've gone for 2 small men up front, because I wouldn't be asking them to play long balls up to the front man. The ball be staying on the deck. The only time the ball will be coming off the ground will be at half-time, and the referee picks it up to go in at half-time. I've gone for 2 small men. Gary O'Neill, I think, has had a great season. Because of the size of the squad at Shelbourne, he hasn't got huge opportunities. We chipped in with 8 goals, I think, in 17, 18 league games. And Mark Farron, last year's best player in the league last year, again, this season, hasn't really had the huge opportunities through injuries, but he still chipped in with 9 goals. So I think, you know, for a 3-5-2, I could have picked 3 different sides with different personnel in them, but looking at a 3-5-2 formation, which would be the formation I'd like to play, I think they would be the best people in the best positions.
Yeah, what would you think of that as a manager, Pat, that 3-5-2 formation?
No, I think that's a good team. That would probably win the First Division when they got relegated this season. They could go back up. I think they struggled to pay the wages as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Be an expensive team, wouldn't it?
What about the strike partnership of Gary O'Neill and Mark Farron there on Paul's team?
Well, to be fair, they have scored goals. I mean, they haven't played as many games as I think both of them would like. I think Farron struggled with injuries, but I think Farron got 11 out of something like 19 games, which is phenomenal. And again, Gary O'Neill has done well, has done very well. And I think it's interesting when you look at the Shells, haven't really dominated. You know, you expect them to win the league so well, but I think because their squad's been so big, they've all played their part at different times where they've all done really well.
OK, that's the 3-5-2 formation from Paul Ozam. Let's look at Pat Scully's team of the season. You're going for the regular 4-4-2.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I think forward, you know, there's a lot of speculation he might be leaving, and I think you look at him, he's 6'3". I mean, Devine's a very good goalkeeper, but I think forward's been superb, especially in Europe. You know, I think he pulled off some magnificent saves. And I think he had a big part to play with Derry. Again, McCallion, I think, I'd slightly just put him ahead of Owen here. I think Owen had a few injuries this season, was missing a lot, whereas McCallion's been very steady. And generally, when he's maybe been rested, you know, Derry have struggled a little bit. Again, I went for Bennett, same as Paul. I was going to go for Jason Gavin. I just think Gavin and Bennett are too similar, so I've gone for Kelly, who I think when he came to Derry made a big influence to it. I mean, I think everyone agrees Murphy's the best left back in the country by a mile. Again, Ollie Cahill, You know, this season it's great to see Ollie back.
Is that a great season?
Fantastic, Trevor. I think that last couple of seasons he could have played left back a few times, hasn't he? And that's his best position, left wing, where he really gets at people, and especially at the start of the season, his form was electric and he was superb. Again, I've put Malloy in there from Derry because I think he's had a brilliant season. You know, I think he's a very underrated player. I think he gets around the park, gets good tackles in, he's a strong boy, and again, he's popped up with some good goals. And again, you know, you look at Gamble again this season. I know Cork have been disappointing, but he certainly hasn't been. To me,
he's been very consistent over the last few years.
By a mile, Trevor, I think he's the best midfielder in this country.
But he missed so many games. He's missed a lot of matches.
He has. He's been unlucky
silly
suspensions and stuff. Well, he has that forward about him. You know, he has that forward. Again, I've put Derry on the right because I wanted Kevin Derry in it because he's a good young player. You're seeing the goal of the season, and he's in it twice, and some of his goals have been absolutely fantastic. I know he's been a little bit in and out, but I think he's a really, really talented player, and he deserves to be in it. I mean, Beckett again was fantastic, but Derry didn't score many goals, but I think he links it really well. You know, I think Derry played good football, and you need a link man. Jason Bourne, to be fair to him, has had a bit of a disappointing season, really.
Still top scorer, isn't he, with 15?
Well, I was just about to say, the reason why Shells won the league was because of the amount of goals he scored.
Exactly,
and again, that's what he's there for. He got 16. I think he didn't play as well as he can, but again, that's what they're there for. He got the goals, so...
Yeah. What do you make of that, Paul? Neither of you went for any players outside of the top 4 clubs, let's say.
Well, I don't, you know, I think the top 4 being so far ahead, they obviously had the best players, so I didn't really see any need. I don't think there was anybody outstanding in the other sides outside of the top 4. Yeah, it's a good side on paper. Paper side.
He's not going to pull that out.
No, it's a good side. A bit dogged. It'd be a different kind of side to my side. I know. Looking at the midfield there.
We'd win the league.
Malloy and Gamble, two similar kind of players. Be a decent enough side. The only thing is that side could never play my side.
I know you'd be Division 1.
No, because
you'd be relegated.
Because a player can't play for 2 teams at one time.
Were you tempted to put anybody else in? I mean, Roy Donovan had a storming finish for Cork City, hadn't he?
I had him.
Well, I was going to put him in. The only thing about, I think he really finished the season well when he went up front. You know, he's a good player. I mean, you look at the standard now, and we spoke about it earlier on, and I know the top 4 have been heavily in it, but the top 4 are miles ahead of everybody else, aren't they? You look at the players we have now, I don't think the league's ever been better. You know, you look at the young players, they're mostly all full-time, they're fit, great technique, great quality, and as I said, you look forward to next season now when the merger does happen. Let's hopefully we can move on and have a really strong league.
I think, for the league has come on a lot, and just going back to the European, I know Derry done well in Europe, they got through a couple of rounds. But I just think, I've said it before, teams go full-time, and it's not enough just to go full-time. You have to utilise that full-time, that time properly. And I just think, and I'll always say it, I don't think the players are physically strong enough. We can last 90 minutes now to pace the game, but I don't think they're strong. I said it before, they're not elite athletes, not all of them. I think that's one area where we can really.
It's going to take a long time for that to happen.
Yeah. But it doesn't take that long. It doesn't take that long time. If you bring in the right training methods for the players and the right diets and all that kind of stuff, that doesn't take that long.
It takes a while for a player to adapt to full-time football.
Okay, we've run out of time. Sorry about that. That's all we have time for, I'm afraid, for Eircom League, and that's the end of another Eircom League season. We hope you enjoyed watching the action here on Monday nights on TV3. To everyone in the Eircom League, enjoy your holidays, and we'll see you back in 2007. On behalf of Paul, Pat, and myself, a very good night. Thanks for watching.
Looking